Hello and welcome to this edition of Exotic Gardening UK, Yorkshire Kris Weekly. And in this episode we'll be looking how to protect your plants against heavy snowfall and whether or not you should take the snow off the plants. Well, it's certainly coming down heavy now, the snow. Usually where I live we have one, maybe two snowfall events all winter, and quite often we have no snow at all winter. But so far this is the third one in 3 weeks, and this is by far the heaviest. It's been snowing all day, and I know I'm normally talking metric, but it's a good 6 inches of snow, and I think we've got a few more hours left for it to fall. And the big question is, should we actually brush off the snow from the plants or should we leave it on? So for instance here we have this mule palm with it's like a feather palm, and the leaves are really bent over heavy now, and there's one argument to say keep the snow on because it insulates the plant. Although it's freezing, it insulates it from the really hard penetrating cold frosts that follow snowfall periods. If it was -10, say tonight, and the snow is on the leaves, then the leaves won't feel at -10, they'll just feel around freezing or so, maybe a bit below, because of the insulation qualities of that snow. But the other side of the argument is, if there's so much heavy snow on the leaves, they will break and die anyway, so it's a good idea to take the snow off. So you've got to basically weigh up which is the worst outcome, what's the most likely outcome. And in this case, we've already got really heavy snow and it's going to continue. Although it's going to be cold tonight, it's forecast about -3 or so. I think it's really important that we start brushing off the snow, otherwise we're going to get breakages of leaves. And this goes for palms. Don't know if you can see all my bamboo hedging all down here is weighed right down. That's fine, it's very flexible bamboo, and if you get a few breakages it doesn't matter because it reshoots so quickly. Things like palms that only produce, between 1 and 8 leaves a year, losing a few leaves will set the palm back quite a long way. So I'm just going to go and get a brush and we'll just brush off the snow. And with any luck the leaves will bounce back a little bit, as you can see there. And the other issue we have is actually the snow in the crown of plants, especially rosette plants, so agaves and things like that. If you get snow in the centre and then it melts a bit and freezes and you get solid blocks of ice, that can easily kill and rot a rosette forming plant that's tender or half hardy. So things like agaves, yuccas potentially, and also things like palm trees. You can get that happening there where snow gets into the crown if you've got a lot of leaves. So it's good to brush out the snow before any ice forms. I'm going to tap that now, and that's got rid of most of the snow. I'm going to show you a few other things around the garden, show you how much potential damage the weight of the snow can cause. And it's not just on the plants, but also buildings in your garden. If you've got greenhouses, it's a good idea to brush it off the roofs, because that extra weight, if it really piles up, can cause cracks in the glass or even a failure if it's not, a lot of heavy snow and it's not being well put together structure. So let's have a look at other things in the garden. This part of the garden I can't even get through because all the large grasses that had died obviously in autumn have fallen over the weight of the snow. I can't actually get through there. And then if we look round here, you can see more of the palms covered in snow. And you can see in the rosettes there as well. I mean, if it's hardy palms, it's not too bad, but the half hardy ones, you don't want snow in their crowns. And even these hardy ones, I'm going to brush off all the snow from the leaves here. The bamboos have fallen over as well, so if you walk down here you can see it's made a bit of an archway going over here. Tree ferns will be fine, and I won't take the snow off there because I want the insulation qualities of the snow on those leaves. It forms like a little igloo. As you can see, the bamboo hedge is covered, and it's very deep snow. We've not had this for about 10 years, snow like this. I will try to get through to the side of the garden. The pond is frozen over and covered in a thick layer of slushy snow now, so I will break that as well, just to allow some oxygen to get through for the few fish that do live in the pond. But the pond itself, it does act a bit like a radiator. It doesn't get as cold obviously as the ground around it, because the volume of water normally keeps above freezing. And if you crack the ice on the surface, there's water, liquid water below. So when it thaws, it's normally the areas around the pond that thaw the quickest, and on tarmac and things like that. Whereas some areas like grass, the snow can stay for a long time. The large yucca is very hardy in the centre, and I wouldn't be able to get all that snow out anyway because it's very spiky, even with a brush. But that's very tough leaves and they're fine. But I will go around and I will get the snow off a lot of the palm trees now, and have a look at the eucalyptus tree. If you look in the background, we've got the gunny eye looking fine, but Debouvilii is looking a bit sorry for itself, so we'll be brushing the snow off that as well. Right, coming to the end of the video now. I've just been round the garden and taken off as much snow as I can from the palms. So just over there, you've got my large Jabea palm. You can just see part of it. I've taken all the snow off that. I've got Brea Marta behind that. I've left the yuccas. I've tried to get some of the bamboos uncovered so I could get through the paths, but the last quarter of the garden is completely impassable because there's far too much snow right across the paths and the bamboos and grasses. And you can see the eucalyptus, I can't really get to that, so that snow stayed on that. So with heavy snowfall like this, it is likely that you can lose branches of trees, evergreen trees like the eucalyptus. I'll have to wait and see when the thaw happens. I've done my best to take off the snow from the palm trees, such as this Trachycarpus here that you can see uncovered now. And we'll have to see how it goes. And the shelters for the arid beds, I have also taken the snow off that because that was really deep snow there, and if there's too much weight they could collapse as well. So thank you for watching this edition of Exotic Gardening UK. Join me next week where hopefully the snow will have gone and we'll be doing more in the garden.